sketch a morning just to show you how I draw and how I approach every character. Now, Steamboat Willie is in the public domain, meaning you can draw him. I don't sell any of these, so technically I can draw any character I want because I'm not selling. I can just show you how I would approach drawing. Now, I've been drawing since I could hold a pencil, so pretty much since I was one in 1983. I've always done creative things as well. If it wasn't drawing, I was creating a website back in early 2000s. I started my own web design business, so I was kind of drawing on the computer. Now, I always start with this circle here, and then I cross it, and that kind of gives me that center point. This is the center point of this character. And then I go into drawing, and when I'm looking at Mickey, I am looking at a picture right now. I am looking at the shapes. Everything is shape related. And then if I mess up, see how I kind of messed up here? All I do is correct that by drawing a line. You can erase that if you want. Now, that's why you take a light pencil. I always add a little circle there for the nose. We have our music playing right now, Honest Blue Radio. It's classical until 9. This is something you can watch back over and over again. You can see how I do the pencil strokes. I do hold my pencil like this because I'm double jointed. So if you see my finger like that, it's normal, doesn't hurt me. So Mickey has it. This is Steamboat Willie I'm drawing. So again, everything in drawing is like little by little. If you can't sit here and draw the whole thing, then you can take a break, right? Right kind of in this middle point, this is when I come down. This is where we have, it starts coming up and over. Now you can make this how you want. On the I'm looking at, he's got like this little line up here. So you could do that, or you could do a lot of these characters have this smile line too, so you could do either or. I'll zoom in here a little bit, see if I can. But might as well start putting these out there for you. Now this Mickey goes down like this and that, but I'm going to change his mouth to more like this. This is a modern day how they draw that. So they do something like this. And then I'm going to shade all this in just by making some lines like that. If you have a blender, you can blend this up, and I don't think I have a blender close by, so we're not going to blend this till later. Now I cut in a little bit here, and this is when I start curving this around. Again, we'll do all these live, so you can watch them back, and then we'll make some shorts out of them as well. This way you can chat with me about art. Now, this Mickey, again, all these were drawn by, Steamboat Willie was drawn by Iworks, who worked with Walt early. This is 1928. So he did all the animation by hand himself for Steamboat Willie. If you've seen Steamboat Willie, it's Mickey riding a steamboat. I'm going to put the right eye in first. It's going to be slightly bigger than the left eye. And then right on this line, as it starts curving up, this is where I'm going to put this other one. And then you can make a line here. This is how it's going to line up. And this, you're not going to see all of this eye, not like this one. This one's curved. And then I put these little circles in there. That's like the catch light. That's like a modern, this is what your eyes do when you look at light. I was a photographer as well. Now, this kind of just comes straight up and it starts curving here. And this is where you're going to put this little, they call this a mask, I think. And that's going to be a point coming down. And then you're going to curve this all the way around. It comes up and then it comes down right around here. Everything I'm doing is referencing from looking at this actual image. So I'm not tracing any of this. This is all done in 5 minutes because I've trained myself by doing it over and over again. Not everything's going to line up perfectly. It's not going to look exactly like it, and that's fine. Art isn't about being perfect. Art is just an expression of yourself and what you're creating. Now, this is a mouse after Walt Disney lost the rights to Oswald the Lucky Rabbit to Charles Mintz, who worked for Universal Studios. Now, right in here, I'm going to just shade all this. And again, if you don't have a blender, they're really cheap on Amazon. You could just take your finger and blend it up if you want. Right around here, this is where I'm going to curve, and this is going to be his, these are going to be his ears. And I'm just making a circle. See how I don't like go all the way around? I do a line and then a line. With sketching, you can make so many different lines. This is why you should always start with a pencil or blue pencil or something like that. Now this, I did kind of make this a little too thick, and you can come in and refine this stuff too. That's where erasers come in. I made his lips a little too. But again, for a 6-minute tutorial, right here is where I'm going to start making his hat. He's got a hat here. It curves like that. And right here, I'm cutting in just a little bit. This is when I start making a line coming up. I'm not going to go all the way up because I didn't leave enough room, I don't think, in this. Again, I'm not selling these sketches. These are just for you to follow along if you want to learn how to draw these characters. Later series, we will turn these into, we will turn them into different characters as we progress as a group to make our own characters. There's a curve that comes up and over here. I'm using a Graph Gear 1000, by the way. This is a 0.3. So that curves like that. It kind of looks like a shoe up here. It's really two circles, and then you can fill all that in if you want with darkness. We're at the 8-minute mark. I'm gonna push this down. Now I'm gonna start going after his body, which right around here. Again, if you're not good at drawing bodies, you can start making circles. His body kind of looks like this. He has a kind of a thicker upper body. This just gives you guidelines to start drawing this. Again, this curves in and this curves this way, so his body kind of looks like that. All these characters, even, a lot of them have these bigger heads. This will probably be a 15-20 minute tutorial. So this kind of curves up and goes back. Well, I guess it is more like aligned with itself. If you want to do a ruler, you can too. I don't really use rulers all that much. I kind of made him more like the modern Mickey with more weight to him. You can put his circles in. The older Mickey had more circles like that. The newer Mickey has more ovals. So something like that. And you can shade all this in as well. I might get a blender just to blend this up so you can see the difference. I'll release shorts of these as well, so we can kind of funnel you into this tutorial. Right around here is when I start cutting down, and then I curve this. And then I cut up. And then he's got a line here. This is his middle area. And then right here, draw a little line down, and then curve this as well. And then curve this up, and then you're going to continue with his shorts. He doesn't seem to wear other clothes. He likes to wear these shorts. I guess it's always sunny where he is. He's always going shirtless. Mickey's shirtless. Right around here, he's got these lines coming off, and this is where he's He's actually driving the boat or the steamboat. And again, I am constantly like looking. I'm looking at the picture as I draw. It's again, it's not going to be perfect. That's what you have to go into art knowing. And don't take judgment from anybody if they say that's stupid because they're not creating anything themselves. So that's why they say it's stupid because they can't do what you're trying to do, you know. So don't ever look to people, look to them for them to ever say, wow, because they won't, because they don't want to validate you. So there's our hand coming out. And then over here, right around his mouth, is when you have another line coming up. So this makes the effect that he's actually steering. And see how my lines aren't perfect, but you can come into these lines and make them more smooth. That's why it's good to start with light lines. This is just a quick 12-minute sketch we're at. Certain things might be scary for you when you're first starting out, too, with art. And yours is not going to look like this immediately. This is practice, practice, practice. I don't expect yours to be perfect. You don't have to be perfect. I'm not perfect. I don't work for Disney. Not saying the people that work for Disney are perfect either. They make mistakes. I mean, when Walt was animating, I think it was Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, there was a little bit of a shake when the prince, after the prince had kissed Snow White to wake her up, and it's probably still in the movie. You can go watch it. And he wanted to pay all this money to remove the shake. He was a perfectionist, pretty much. And his brother said, I think it was his brother, Roy, he said, no, no, we can't do that while we don't have any money. Even this animation with the sound sync, I think, took a while to get. Walt had to redo it with more money. A lot of money was put into Disney. And Roy, his brother, was the manager of all the money. And Walt was the ideas man. He came up with Mickey, and then Ub Iwerks helped out bring it to life. Say, this is going to be Mickey Mouse. And I think Walt wanted the name Mortimer, and I think Lillian, his wife, said, oh, I want it, I think you should go with Mickey. Kind of making his shoes a little bit different. Slightly. That's where you can come in with changes. There he is, Mickey, or sorry, Steamboat Willie before he was, I think this is before they were calling him Mickey. And our shoe over here. Again, I went wide with this, so if you're starting out, you might want to go wide and leave some space for the bottom area. I usually start with the face. Again, this is a quick 13-minute, and we'll probably work on some art for this and try to do a time lapse. And then he's got his tail. Of course, mice aren't really desirable when you see them in your house, so it is funny that everyone runs to Disney to because they made Mickey comical and gave him a personality. Without that, there is no Mickey Mouse. In this cartoon, he's playing animals, using them as instruments and stuff. If you've seen the Steamboat Willie, and there's his tail over there. And you can make this any way you want. You could turn this into someone's name, whatever you want to do with that. Now let's work on his boat that he's steering. You can see Steamboat Willie at Hollywood Studios, at Walt Disney World, at Fantasmic. There's a show there. I think it's every night, which is a lot of work. He drives the boat at the end of the show. It's a beautiful show. So go see that if you are in the Orlando area and you want to experience that, or you're going on a trip. Fantasmic is when you get into Hollywood Studios, go straight and then go down to the right, and you got to line up, I think, a little bit ahead of time to get a good spot. They reopened that a few years ago, 2022, I think it was, and I was there for the reopening. So we'll do our little, we got our little steamboat here, just the wheel. I'm going to get a blender after this. This is a 15-minute sketch. You get to see my hands, though, and how I draw all of this. I did screw up this part here, so I'm going to cut this in a little bit and make his hand a little bit bigger. But this is in the public domain, meaning you could sell this if you wanted to. After so many years, they put these in the public. You can't have copyrights on things forever, so you could technically take this sketch and sell it. But I don't sell any sketches at this point. I don't do any commission work. I did that for years, and some people were happy, some people were not happy with my work. So I said, you know what, I'm not going to do commission work. If I were to sell this, it'd probably be, $500 or something, because I've done the $15 sketches, and people just don't appreciate the cheapness of it all. And this is years of practice, so it would be at least $500 just for a sketch. But most people don't even have $20 for our coffee, so or they say they don't, but they'll go buy Starbucks. Anyways, I didn't make this perfect. Of course, we're getting into the nitty gritty here. You can make his hand a little bit thinner. I didn't make this wheel perfect. Nothing's going to be perfect when you get into art. Like I said, this isn't about being perfect. This isn't a competition with anybody. So when people judge you, who are they judging? Themselves. They're not judging. They're judging the fact that they're not taking the time to learn. My grandfather drew for me when I was 1 in 83. So you get Grandpa George coming out in me as at a later age and teaching everybody on the internet. I don't do this for any money. I do this for free and because I love drawing. There's our steamboat. Again, this is a 17-minute sketch. This is kind of like the stuff they do if you go to Animal Kingdom, called the animation, whatever. They'll show you their hands and stuff, and you follow along with them. Now we have a course, or this isn't really a course. This is just a live session. I screwed up here. What I did wrong, sorry. Don't follow everything I'm doing, but there we go. This right here has to come up and over. I felt like somebody was here. I think my mom is here. Hang on. Yeah, hang on. Ah! I was in the middle of a live set. I was doing a little Mickey for him to show him. Okay. You can come in. There's your seat. Just about 20 minutes into this sketch. All right, so we got this coming up. This is the main part of that wheel. So we did actually do this right. This has to come up and over. And then right in this area, we have to do this as well. We have to come down here, make a line here, and then this will come up. I'm just going to make a smooth line, and then you can cut in those different parts of the wheel. The wheel is usually the most challenging part. When you start getting into details, that's when you're going to start needing a little help. So right here, I cut down in, I curve this, and then I do something like that. That's like the wheel. This line probably could come up a little bit more. Again, like I said, the wheel and stuff, when you get into these details, they don't usually do stuff like this when you do that animation course. They just draw the face, so they're not drawing major details, just the face, which we've already done with Mickey. There we go. And right around the middle here, this is when we're going to do another one of these. See how you can like literally get the shape and then you can just erase this. So don't think, I used to draw like this where I'd go around and stuff like that. You're better off doing something like this and then just using your eraser to do this. See how I did that? About 20 minutes into this sketch. That's how, I think that's how long they do their drawing sessions at Disney. We're pretty much done with this. I'm going to get a blender just to make it. There's that. And then we have up here, this is our circle again. These are hard to explain. It's kind of like an oval, but it starts curving as you get to the top. And then we'll just do that. You can erase these lines if we want. Some people like to see those with the drawing. I didn't do the whole thing. I didn't do the whole boat, which I could. I've drawn Steamboat Willie before. Usually what I do around here is this is where I try to add it to look like he's really on or sitting on here. So I add like these little lines like that. If you guys have done this, you can share it, hopefully. Send it to my email. Tell me what you've done. There's our Mickey 21-minute sketch. I'm going to grab a blender somewhere. I want to order some more blenders actually today. Oh, God. I'm getting up. Yeah, so what I do here with the blender, let me see if I can focus this again. Okay. What I do with the blender is I just go through all the dark areas and I blend it up. This is going to give you that more professional look. You can get these for like 10 bucks on Amazon for a whole bunch. You can get smaller ones. This is a bigger one. So with lighting, there's all these different shadows in lighting. So that's what I'm doing with blending, is just bringing them more to life. You know, you can see you'll see the difference if you play this back. We'll do a time lapse for sure, and we'll just say, hey, check out the tutorial. The Mickey Mouse tutorial. These usually do well because everyone wants to learn how to draw, and then if you put out these 30-minute sessions, people will follow along and maybe learn something. I was a teacher for 10 years teaching technology, and people say, why didn't you teach art? And I've done a lot of this stuff on Udemy, and I was doing it on Facebook, but now we're permanently on YouTube, showing everybody how I draw, and you can see my hands and hear my voice. There's about 20-30 minutes to keep people busy, but they also teach you something, hopefully. And you can dirty this up a little bit. This has been through some. This wheel has been through some times. 1928's a long time ago, but it did happen. We got the movie. We got Steamboat Willie cartoon. They did Plane Crazy. They did a whole bunch of other. And now what I do around this area where I added those little lines, I do this. And this gives the effect that he's really sitting there. I mean, standing and whistling along. This is not the whistling Mickey. This is the smiley Mickey. Hiya, pal. That's my early morning Mickey voice. Anyways, there's our 24-minute Mickey sketch. If you want to sign it, go ahead and sign it somewhere. There's my signature, 26. A quick 24-minute Steamboat Willie sketch. We'll turn this into maybe a course, and then I'll show people how to modify these. They don't really do much to the feet, which you can. But get yourself a blender, get yourself some Graph Gear 1000 pencils on Amazon. I don't make any commission with that. I just want you guys to be better artists, and wherever you're watching this from, just let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from, so we can start learning together and Getting to know each other, you know. Sometimes I put a little darkness under there so it gives it like the effect that light's shining from up above. From it's good to know where the light source. It looks like the light source is going that way, but then we have the feet with the light source this way. Anyways, that's all for me today. I hope you guys are well. I'm drinking my coffee, molly.coffee.com if you want to support the channel. Fresh coffee, under $20, free shipping, always grown fresh. Here we go. Steamed Willie, Mickey Mouse. Turned into Mickey Mouse. I made the head a little bit bigger, but that's how to draw Mickey Mouse in 25 minutes. We'll talk to you later. Have a great, I think it's Thursday. I don't know. It says, yeah, Thursday, April 30th, 2026. We'll talk to you soon. Let me know how you did below. Tell me if you did it, and then send me a email so I can post it up. Jason at Jason's Photography currently.com, or Betsy Blue's email is betsybluejeans at yahoo.com. Betsybluejeans at yahoo.com. And we'll post these up on the channel and show everybody how you did. All right. Talk to you soon. Peace.